Welcome to the Patryk Real Estate Show, where we explore the fascinating world of real estate investing with your host, Patryk Switek. Patryk is a dynamic young entrepreneur and an accomplished real estate investor who's passionate about helping others achieve financial freedom. Each week, we sit down with some of the most inspiring individuals in the real estate industry and delve into their personal journeys, lessons learned, and secrets to their success. Let's dive into this week's episode.
Lenny, welcome to the podcast, man. I'm really excited to have you. We're going to be talking about all things real estate, but all things holistically in life. How do you, after all the stuff that happens day to day in real estate, all the struggles and stress, you're here smiling bright and wide all the time. I've never seen you angry ever. You're just a happy person and you're so positive all the time. And I think that's an important lesson in many ways. I think just talking holistically, how you balance everything in life, how you're just a positive aura wherever you are, and how you basically put that into the real estate world and how you make that happen. So I'm excited to have you and just talk shop and see where the conversation goes. So nice meeting you.
Hey, sounds good. Sounds good. First and foremost, let me just say thank you, man. Thank you for bringing me on, right? Because a wide range of people, dude. And I don't know where I fit in that wide range of folks. I'm not in the heavy hitter mark up there, but it's just an honor just to be here talking to you. Obviously, you're a fantastic dude to talk to. We can go for probably hours, right? So we gonna have to sit here and keep it condensed. But thank you, man. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think that's a big thing as well as with these podcasts, you have your own as well. And I think just going and letting it flow and the fact that you are not like a heavy hitter is something that I think a lot of people can relate to. I think you're not anything crazy in terms of heavy hitter, but that's actually a good thing. It's much more easy to relate to somebody that is just living life, enjoying life and being happy every day. And I think that's what everyone strives for at some point, is just to be happy. People don't strive for financial success as much as success in the terms of happiness, right? So that's how I like to look at it.
It's interesting that you say that because happiness is big for me, right? Obviously, finances is big for me too, because I have big dreams, like huge ones, right? So with that being said, as much as money is not the most important thing, money is required to pull off some of the things that you want to pull
100%.
off from a dreams perspective. So I do have a few hands in those jars to make sure that cash flow continue to tick, right?
Oh, yeah.
But man, let me give you just a little journey, because for me, I'm a kid that was born in North Philadelphia, right? And not the best of neighborhoods. I was born, my mother, single family mother, she had 10 children, okay? And I'm the 10th kid, so I'm the last one. We grew up in a row home, a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. When I look back, like right now, I have like a house with 3.5 bathrooms, right? And there's only 3 of us. And I look back and say, man, it was 10 of us. How in the world did we make it out? It was 1 bathroom, but you do what you have to do. But man, so, my mother, one of the things she did was she pumped a lot of love in us, right? So she was financially poor, okay, welfare, all that. However, we was rich in love, and I don't think I really truly understood that till my later teens, because I probably was much different then, as in I wasn't probably the best of kid. I used to get in trouble a lot, talk back to the teachers, to my mom when she backslapped me or whatever the situation is. But I had a big time attitude problem. But as I started to grow up and started to realize I wanted to do some things, that I had to get my attitude in hand. And what I like to say for myself is I don't live this light switch life. And what I mean by that is I live a practice life. So for what today is just years and years of dumping in the right ingredients to get me here and to sustain it, right? So it's one, putting yourself around the right people that's talking the right way, that got goals, that want to go somewhere, right? It's what you're reading, it's what you're listening to, it's what you're actually doing from a personal development perspective. And when you put all that in a pot, I like to call it, and boil it up every day, this is what you get, right? You get this. And also just making a decision that, look, I want to be happy, and I get it. Every day is not going to be rainbows. That's not what I'm saying. But when you boil things down, I'm a very happy person. That's my bone. You're going to see me smiling everywhere I go. You're going to see me greet people with, I'm probably containing myself right now a little bit on this
Mhm.
podcast, but you're going to see me greet people in a manner that is happy, and hopefully whatever I have in me, and if they don't have it, can rub off on them and brighten their day. So happiness is one of the things I seek, my brother.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And you don't have to even seek it because you have it. So tell me what let's learn a little bit about your real estate journey. How did that start about?
Yeah, no problem. It's pretty interesting because I was working for a company for 22 years. Okay. And I worked for this company. I went up the ranks, made it to vice president of operations, had a staff up to 200 people, and responsible for well over $1 billion a year in AR, and responsible for making sure that we collect, I think, over 250 million in revenue for our clients. So it was a big time role. So as I
You
started to,
you climbed the corporate ladder.
yeah, for sure, brother.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
for sure, man, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So as I was climbing, you start to make more money. And as you start to make more money, Uncle Sam get to dancing, right? And why he get to dancing is because that means that you have to pay him more if
Mhm.
you're not smart to some of his tricks of the trade, I like to call it. And that's was step number one. I used to have just like a friend of a friend used to do my taxes. And then that's when I realized that I needed to step it up and get like a CPA. Right. So that's what I did. And that was step one. So two things that happened in my life. One, he was like, hey, obviously you paid a lot of money in taxes. You need to, do some things where you can reduce your taxes. Real estate was one. The second thing was I have a few friends that was in real estate, and I'm gonna talk about one in particular because he's the one that really gave me like this game, right? So as a friend, he used to come to me and dump all his issues. Oh my God, all these tenants. Oh my God, these contractors. Oh man, the roof collapsed. So I heard nothing but problems when it came to real estate.
Mhm.
So ideally, you would think, why would I want to sit here and invest into real estate? My buddy is saying he's running into all these problems. But one thing I also noticed is that he's buying more. So he was buying another property. Then I noticed that they moved, him and his wife and the kid moved out of the neighborhood to a much better home. And then they got like some better cars, right? But they didn't have these high powered jobs. They didn't work a lot of overtime, or anything like that, or had these high powered jobs. One day I pulled him to the side, like, dude, what the hell you guys are doing? What's up? I see you continue to buy real estate. You say that you hate it. You know what I mean? And that's when he told me, he was like, dude, yeah. He said, you're my friend. He said, so I don't have no one else to dump my issues on. See, so I was the guy that he dumped his issues on, but he said real estate has been really good for him and his family. And he started talking to me about it. And I think that's when I decided to make a goal for myself where I will buy one property a year. And that's when I started to buy. So that's my intro without giving you super details into real estate.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what's your portfolio look like right now?
Yeah, we're probably over about 4 million in my portfolio is about over $4 million now. And we have a bunch of long-term rentals here in New Jersey. And we have a few short-term rentals out in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee,
Yeah.
and some out in Myrtle Beach.
Nice. So you're Myrtle Beach now.
Yes.
Nice. So what made you move to Myrtle Beach?
Myrtle Beach is pretty interesting because honestly, when I think back, and I really didn't give this any thought to like after the fact, but Myrtle Beach was really considered like my really first vacation as a kid. So we had this family reunion, I believe, and we rented some vans. My parents, I was a kid, I didn't even have a driver's license yet. And we all drove down south. So I'm from Philadelphia, and we all drove down to South Carolina, stayed at the Howard or something like that, I believe I remember. And I got to meet all my cousins and a whole bunch of people that I never met before. And that was like my intro to Myrtle Beach. And as I got older, we just always went to Myrtle Beach to vacation because one, it was just an easy flight. It's like an hour flight's pretty
Mhm.
reasonable to get there. And then there was my cousin's wife family started this tradition on Mother's Day. So every Mother's Day, it was like hundreds of people that was going, that was all family. I was going there. So I was going to Myrtle Beach like every year. And it just was a good market, really fast to get to, really good getaway. And that was the reason why we just started looking in that market to purchase.
Got it. Yeah. And when you purchased, you said that you live there, right?
And no, I never lived in Myrtle
Oh,
Beach.
got it.
Always visited Myrtle
Got
Beach,
it. So
just as like vacation.
so it's your vacation rental that's in Myrtle Beach, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. So you are able to now visit Myrtle Beach and take a tax write-off because that's your property technically. So if you go work on your property in Myrtle Beach and take your kids and family on vacation, you can technically have a tax write-off.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why I love real estate, right? Is just because of that. Anytime that we're going down there, it's like a two-parter. I hate to say it, but it is because, you go down there and if anyone, that does not own real estate, I'm going to tell you something. If you do, especially if you own short-term rentals, you are like a hawk on your property. So
Mhm.
when you get there, you just like looking under the mattress, you're looking under the couch, you're everywhere, just hate to say it, trying to find problems rather than just really. So you're down there and and as a short-term rental owner, you know that there's always something that's required, always something that's needed, always a picture you can buy, always something you can make look better, whatever that is. So you're always down there really doing something. So sometimes it's like, are you really vacationing or are you really working? And it's probably more work than vacation because you are where your mind is. So if your mind is in work mode, which mine's is every single time I go to my properties, I'm there, but my family get to enjoy it. They get to go to the beach. We're like not even a half a block away from the beach.
All right.
So yeah, I think I timed it. I want to say 2-minute walk, if that. And that's if you're carrying bags and stuff like that with you, just to give you an idea how close we are. And so you get to go to the beach, man. We always barbecue. And it was cool because the first time I bought the property, I was able to sit here and bring some of my closest friends with me.
There you go.
And so while I was getting it up and running, we was able to sit there, do some jet skis, walk the beach. We barbecued every day. There's this place called Barefoot Landing that's around the corner from us, where they just have a bunch of shops and restaurants, and we just explored there every night. I'm a big ice cream guy. It's this ice cream store that I go to that's humongous down there in size. And yeah, it's just always a good time.
Yeah, I've been to Myrtle Beach twice actually, so I love it there. It's actually really cool.
Awesome.
So with that, like you basically built because I think for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are all about happiness, right? So like when you optimize your life for happiness, you start making investment decisions that are also aligned with your personal goals and happiness of lifestyle, right? Like you bought this property because it was not only was it probably made cash flow sense, I'm assuming, and it pays for itself, but also it's also something that you can use, go down, be this nostalgic area that you were when you were growing up. And I think that's the beauty about real estate, is like being able to do that and having real estate being part of your lifestyle and like what you're building. And I think that's also something to keep in mind.
It is. And honestly, like real estate done a few things for me that I'm in debt to real estate right now. And I'm gonna share some of the moments that really sold me. So the first moment was my wife and we always made pretty decent money, and we were saving a lot of money at this one time. And she started having some huge issues at the job, going head first with part owner, when that's who she reported to. She was like the president slash owner of the company. And to the point where, once again, I'm just happy dude, where I run a happy situation here at the house, and she was coming home miserable. But
Wow.
I was being an asshole. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna call it what it was. I was being an asshole because all I saw was, honey, we're saving all this money. We got goals, we got dreams. Stick in there. Look at the bank account. And until this one day, she came home and she had some tears in her eyes, man. And I'm like, shit, this is not good. So I came down here where I'm at right here, and I start looking over just my portfolio and how much money we was bringing in. And God put us in position. And I looked, I said, wow, we're bringing in just as much money, or I think a little bit more than what she was making. So with that being said, I walked upstairs. I said, you know what? Resign, put in your 2 weeks and go from there. She had to stay longer than 2 weeks due to her role, But we talked all night, man. That night we talked about just what do she want to do. So the first thing with real estate for me was I was able to retire my wife. And that was huge for me. And so she went on and she's an entrepreneur now. She owns her business as well. And we
What does
getting that
she
one
do?
off the ground. So she owns a cleaning company, actually two of them. And so it was doing extremely well. And then COVID came, right?
Yeah.
So it knocked us back some. So we're getting back on our feet when it comes to that. But we were pretty smart with our money. There was no issues there. So she got that going. And I'm gonna get back to that in a minute. The second thing is it's actually three things. The second thing is I've been working for this company for 22 years, right? And it came to the point where they laid me off. Right.
Wow.
I was sitting right here. I never forget the day. I run typically like 3 to 6 miles a day. And I was running and I got a text from my CEO. And I knew what it was because I was personally laying people off left and right the last couple
Hmm.
of months, right? So I came in right here and she called me, "Oh, Lenny, I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, okay, conversation probably lasted, I don't know, 3 minutes. I
Wow.
hung up and I sat right here. And for the listeners that's listening versus the ones that's watching, put my head back right on the chair for maybe 7 seconds. Then I popped my head up and said, "Shit, I got to get health insurance."
That's the first thing that came in your mind. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
And the reason why was because I had a portfolio that was bringing in enough revenue that paid for my mortgage, that paid for all our car notes, that paid for all our bills, that paid for all the mortgages we have on our properties, that allowed us to reinvest some money and also allows us to take vacation. That same time, it was April of last year. And that year took 4 vacations. I went to Miami. We was in Miami. We went on a cruise. We went to Puerto Rico. We went to the Bahamas. So nothing really stopped because of that. And that was the blessing. But the true blessing for me has not came yet. And now my wife is on board with us being full-time entrepreneurs and understanding how that works and living the life every single day. This is knowledge that we can pass down to my son. Granted, I was just talking to someone yesterday. Yes, I want to pass him down assets. Yes, I want to pass him down cash. But truth be told, he might spend the shit. He might sit here and sell the assets. Who knows, right? I said, but the one major thing I really want to make sure I pass down to him is
Knowledge.
the education. And I want to pass it down, obviously, in real estate, but I'm going to teach him how to read a P&L. I'm going to teach him how to talk to attorneys. He goes with me every single time I'm talking to attorneys, talking to accountants. I have him in the room when I'm on the phone doing negotiations, so he can just take all this in. I know he probably there. Oh, come on, let me go play because he's only 10. But these are the things I just want him to start to get a sample of and learn. Because if he decides to say, "Hey, real estate's not my thing," reading the P&L, knowing how to talk to attorneys, knowing how to talk to accountants, knowing how to run a business, that's just what's the word I'm looking for? Universal
It's
versus being
foundation.
niched.
Yeah.
So that's the most important part for me, in real estate is allowing me to have learned that stuff and continue to learn more so I can just pass that education down to my son.
Yeah, that's so important. And I think there's so many statistics around how people pass down their wealth and it only lasts like 2, 3 generations before it's all spent. And it's just, you got to make sure to pass down the values and all that kind of stuff, all the education. That's like really the most important part is teaching them how to fish instead of fishing for them. So that's awesome, man. And so I wanted to ask, like with real estate, and you mentioned this earlier, everyone comes to you with problems, right? You're the go-to guy for any kind of issue that comes up in your friend group. They come to you. And also on top of that, you have all this real estate stuff happening all the time. You're an entrepreneur full time and it's probably pretty stressful. How do you find yourself actually living a life that you want to live versus just putting stuff on just to put stuff on that stresses you out? Like, how do you know that all of these different factors are playing into your life? Like, wouldn't you just want to lay on a beach somewhere and just not do anything? What's making you want to do all this? And just talk about that.
Dude, that's a really good question. And you must really know me because I'm a beach guy, right? I really do just want to lay on the beach.
Mhm, mhm,
That's
mhm,
all it is.
mhm.
But you know what, man? I think that everybody's here for a purpose. And God blessed me with a gift. And the gift that he blessed me with is a gift of listening, understanding, processing, and then able to sit there and provide information back in a manner where it's receptive and what's the word? People can go out and implement on it. And that's one of my superpowers, I like to call it. Because of that reason, I don't take it lightly. So when I have loved ones that I really truly care for reach out to me, obviously I'm all ears and I take in what they have to say, but I'm also brutally honest. So it's not like they know that I'm going to give them an honest review of what they're telling me versus what they want to hear. And I
It's
think
like the
that
red pill, blue pill. It's you know what you're getting into.
yeah, you already know what you're going to get yourself into. And it's funny because even at the workplace, yeah, everybody used to say, "Hey, if you want an honest answer, you go see Lenny," right? And that's the truth. Like I'm going to always be honest because I think honesty is going to be the way to help improve whatever your personal situations are. But man, like I said, man, earlier, I don't live a light switch life. I don't just wake up in the morning and here and I'm this happy person. It's just been over the years of listening to motivation, continuously spending money on personal development of myself, reading the right things from audiobooks to I don't even watch the news. I cut the news out like I don't even know well over because my son's 10. So I haven't been watching the news like I know it's been at least 10 years. I'm gonna base it off his age,
That
right?
you know
If
what's
not more.
crazy? Same thing here. The moment I had a choice, I was like, screw this. It's so much negativity and they prey on that. It's crazy. So I totally feel you on that.
Yeah. And that's really it, man. It's just God provided me with a gift, with a superpower. And I understand that superpower. And I don't want to let him down. With that being said, I take it very seriously. And I think it also made me who I am today. Like it also got me to my position when I was working at the job. I was able to sit here and be next to a whole bunch of different people and they run into some work related issues and I'm able to take it in and provide some items for them to go implement and be successful and get over that challenge. And I think that was one of the things that was identified early. And I think also having so many brothers and sisters, and I have 9 brothers and sisters. Yeah. Yeah. So
Were you
that's
the
that's
oldest?
no, I'm the youngest.
Wow. You're the
Yeah, I'm the
troublemaker.
youngest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see
They
it full
probably said
circle.
that when I was a kid. But they all had different personalities. And I think with dealing with all of those personalities probably helped me in the real world to sit there and actually deal with so many other people
Mhm.
personalities. So at the workplace, it was actually fun and it was an enjoyment for me when someone it was an honor, right? Like I'm appreciative of everything. If someone gives me $1, you would think Pat would probably think that someone gave me $100 the way that I would react, right? So it was an honor for someone to say, "Hey, Lenny, I ran into this issue. Do you know how to resolve this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. Let me." and
Yeah.
and
How does
that
that not
and
overwhelm you though? Because you got a
um
lot of stuff going on, man. You got your wife has a a cleaning business. You got something going on. You got real estate here, there. You're doing all these talks on podcasts. Like, how do you have the energy and the toll to be able to like take somebody else's problems and have them dumped on you? That's the thing I struggle with. How do you do that?
I think it's a gift. It's a gift. I get much more sleep today than I used to. I didn't have to sleep back in the day, just to let you know.
Mm.
I'm this older person, right? Back in the day. So I used to sleep like 2 or 3 hours a night. And I probably didn't even tell you. I worked full time. I always was a go-getter, right? So I bought my first property, my house at 19. Just to let you know. So when I was 19, I purchased my first home. I worked full time. I went to school full time and I still partied after I got out of school
Dang.
and then went
Yeah.
home, did my homework because I only needed to sleep like 2 or 3 hours a day. And I did that for years 10, 11, 12, 13
Wow.
years with no problem at all. And so that's one thing. The second thing with just a whole bunch of things going on is I don't see it that way. In my mind, in the way that I process it, I just see it as something that I want to do and add value to my life. So, what's important to me is one, making sure that my family is straight, right? Then two, I believe I have a gift that needs to be touched and need to be giving out to everybody. With that being said, let me just be clear. I don't sit here by my phone waiting for people to call me with their issues. And have
I was gonna say,
issue line or anything. No,
at
that's
the
not
end
what
of
happened.
this, I'm gonna give everybody Lenny's Instagram. They can dump all their issues on
No,
Lenny right now.
that is not what happened. I'm pretty good with time management, and I'm pretty good with understanding what I want to do and being clear. So if someone happened to call me or text me or something, say, hey, you got some time, I look at what I'm doing for the day. Like today, right? I'm on a podcast with you. So we're not talking at this time, right? But I might text them back and say, hey, I got some free time at 9. Let's talk then. You know what I mean? And that's how you work it out. There's this thing that people sit there and say it's a balance. And I don't think it's a balance. I just think that it's a, hey, what's your priority things that you need to get resolved
Right.
and what those priority things are. And I think that, and if they want to call that a balance, then yes, it's a balance.
Yeah.
And I just ensure that my wife is taken care of. I got some time with her. I make sure that I spend some time with my son. I walk my son to school every morning. I take him to every football practice outside of if I had an important business call to take. Let me tell you, this kid, he got practice football, he got flag football, he got this speed and agility, he's in track, right? Then he
Jeez.
got another speed and agility that's popping up next week. And that's before the swim and all this other stuff
How
that's
do you
coming.
even
So he
catch
has,
up to him? He's quick one.
so
He's trying to
he
run
has a
away as
very
fast as possible.
he has a very busy schedule. So you just manage, man. And you sit there and you say, hey, what's the most important things you need to get done? You can't see, but to the left of me, I have this whiteboard and I put a lot of things that are high level of importancy on this whiteboard because I'm here in my office a lot of the part of the day. And I get to see, okay, where am I at? I'm looking to the left, all the individuals who can't see me. And I look and I see where I'm at and what I need to do. And then also all the other things that's going on in my life. And I just sit here and I manage it. And I don't look at it as a problem. I look at it as an honor. I look at it. So when someone asks me to help them with the issue, I don't look at it. I look at, wow, you asking me to help you with a
Yeah.
issue?
Have you
You
ever
know?
heard of there's this book with customer service called Complaint is a Gift. So whenever
Mm,
like an Airbnb guest complains, I actually look at it as an opportunity to either better my property or my operations or to solve an issue that will probably make somebody's day. Do you ever look at things like that when things come your way? You're like, wow, this is like a gift. The fact that
so
somebody came to me versus same
I'm the
thing, right?
dude. Look, I'm the dude that we get in a car accident. I'm gonna sit back and look at you and say, at least we're alive. You might punch me or try to punch me in my head or something because you're like, dude, we just got the car accident. But I'm that guy. So I'm always looking at the positive end of the stick. So just like you just said, customer complaint, you address the complaint, and then you sit here and you take a second and you say, where can we benefit off of this complaint? Because
Yeah,
I look at it just like you just said, we can get better off of someone
for
just
sure.
complaining. So I'm
So
always looking at the positive end.
So Lenny, you're positive, true, but you're not like naive. You're not like, oh
Yeah, oh, right.
my God, everything's so great, like all these rainbows and unicorns. That
Yeah.
was my voice, my happy voice. But I was trying to say, you're also pragmatic, right? Like you have
Mm.
these ways of looking at things where it's like very positive, but also, okay, great. Let's not focus on negatives, focus on positive, but at the same time, let's do something about this. Not just, oh, great, life is great. No, this is what life is, but let's focus on making it happen. And I think I listen to psychologists say there's two things in life that are inevitable. One is going to be pain. There's always going to be pain in anything you do. And the second thing is being in the unknown. So there's always going to be a time where either you have to take care of a kid and you don't know how to take care of a kid and you have to just learn as you go, or get into real estate, or things happen in your life. You got to make it. And I feel like you are a person that's really good about working in the unknown.
And I would have to agree with you there because life is nothing but a lesson. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And it's a lesson in two ways, I like to call it. It's a lesson in what you personally learn and what you personally do. And then it's a lesson in what other people do. and you can sit here and learn from them. That's why mentoring and coaching is so big, because you can sit here and actually learn from all of their mistakes and you don't have to actually do them yourself. So I do take life that way. And I do have a very business side of me. You get like this Lenny, this motivator, then you get the business side where when it's business time, we get to business. And I said, not that I turn like to Jekyll and Hyde or anything like that, but I happen to be able to put myself in a manner of, hey, let's get this done. And I'm also all about having enjoyment and fun doing it. As I continue to grow as a person, I'm only surrounding myself around people that want to have fun doing something. So if I'm working with someone, like, I'm asking questions of why you want to do this and what kind of satisfaction are you going to get out of this? Because if our energies is not going to match, then I'm probably not going to sit there and collaborate with you on that project, because I'm all about, hey, let's get in the trenches, let's roll our sleeves up, let's get this done, but let's laugh and joke our way through. You might slip and fall and cut your arm or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, I got these cuts on my hand. You can't see. I was at an event where I call myself helping out again. These ladies was bringing in some food, and my hand just slid. And I made all these jokes. My hand's like bleeding like crazy over top of the food that's feeding everybody, I might add. And I'm sitting here cracking jokes, and they like, oh my God. But that's the type of person that I am, is that I'm always going to look at the positive end of the stick.
So that, I think that might tie into why life is so fun and easy in the sense that it's simple. It's like it's enjoyable because nothing can take you off. When you take control of your emotions and you take control of your own destiny, you start realizing, wow, no matter what happens externally, you can't break Lenny, because Lenny's strong right up here in the mind. You can't break him. And I think that's like beautiful, like to be in control of yourself to a point where like that fixes all the issues. Caring about what people think, that fixes the issue with anything happening to you. There's nothing that can happen to you other than somebody coming up to you and stabbing you with a knife that's going to make you sad, right? That's the only way. And I think when you think of it like that, it's nice because you're unbreakable. You become invincible to life challenges, because life challenges are an opportunity. So now it's like, you can't win. Nobody can destroy you. You're in charge of yourself and your own mind and how you react to it.
Life is a bunch of lessons, man. I come from a rough neighborhood. I come from a neighborhood where people are not as nice.
Yeah.
and with that being said, I think that probably plays a huge role, because it's like, here is nothing compared to there, and all the environmental things that happens there, from drugs and guns and killings and shootings, to over here, there's none of that. So
Yeah.
all it is a couple of words that you're going to sit there and happen to say. And also my energy that I carry, that I built, once again, practice, that my energy moves people right out the way and attract the other people to me that really needs to be around me. So that, believe in God and just believe in myself and just try to learn every day, because as perfect as I would like to say that I am, I make mistakes too. And when I do, I try to think about them. I got something called Reflection Friday. So I reflect on, because I'm big on my son and pouring into him. So I reflect on what I have said to him, things that went right, things that went wrong. The same with my wife, and also same with him, my business, of reflecting. And I sit there and say, okay, guess what? This week, or when this challenge comes up again, I'm going to try something different. Or, man, that went very well. When this comes up again, I'm going to try it. And then I'm also going to tell Patryk, because now Patryk can know. So if that challenge comes on his plate, he at least have some idea on how to handle it. That's how I address things.
That's great. And I had one more question before we get to the last three questions. Boom. So with the last thing I wanted to ask you before that is just so encompassing all of this, how do you find fulfillment in your life? How do you truly find life full of fulfillment, happiness, passion for the people that are truly at lows of lows and they don't feel like they found that passion, a thing that drives them or whatever? What's your advice to people like that?
Man, that's a really good question. I'm happy that you asked. A few things. One thing that I do every morning is I have an iPhone, and if you have any phone, doesn't really matter. And I have a note section in my phone, and I write down 5 things I am grateful for. Whatever comes to my head. It can be I'm grateful for having a roof over my head during this storm that's outside right now. I'm grateful for my wife and her cooking last night. Whatever it is, 5 things at minimum. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 8, but a minimum of 5 things. And that's how I start my morning. This is probably before I even talk to anybody. The second thing is I'm on a few group texts where we're trying to beat each other to say great morning to each other. We don't say good morning to one another. We say great morning. So if anyone that follows me now is going to be highlighted now. I'm always saying great morning because it's just a mindset to have. So we're texting one another 4, 4:30 a.m. in the morning, sitting here helping one another start each other's day. Another thing is I like to visualize my day. I actually close my eyes and I put my head back and I visualize how I want my day to be. Because you understand the things that you need to get done through the day. And I visualize that. And then I pray, man. I pray every single day. Every single day, God is with me in my life. And the last but not least, which everyone should have, are goals. And I think ultimately goals is what gets you from A to B. And accomplishing goals is what equals to be happy. And I think when people start to run out of goals and stop thinking about what they want their designed life to be, is when life starts to get challenging and get hard because you're not aiming for anything. I like to call it, hey, you got 2 options, right? You can get into a car and have nowhere to go. You know, what's going to happen?
So
You're going to
Lenny,
sit here, run out of gas, or you're going to get in the car and have a destination and actually get there.
yeah, so Lenny, but what if I don't have a passion? What if I don't know what that passion is? Like, how can I set goals for something that's not, I don't know, like I'm lost. What would you say to that?
And so if someone came to me and said, Lenny, which they have. You seem like you have it all together. You got a wife, you got kids, you have a house, you have real estate, you have a really good job. You take trips and you on the planes everywhere and this, that, another thing. I don't know what to do. Blah, 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 blah. And I empathize with them, but you got to start something. I always sit here and say opportunity comes to those that are active. And sometimes you have to go through the back door to get to the front. So when you're sitting here thinking that, I don't know what front door to go through, pick a door because you don't know if that door is going to be the back door that take you to the front door to your passion. So I always tell people you got to pick something. I don't care what it is. Look, hey, look at me, pick real estate, see if that works for you. Or look at somebody else and see if that's something that interests you. And just pick something because even when people go to college, right? A lot of people go to college for one thing. And then if you fast forward their story, none of them are in the same position as what their major is.
Yeah.
And that's because they was active. That's because they went through the back door and found a front door somewhere else because they found out that they thought their passion was going to be this tech person, but their passion wound up being a person who loved to create coffee beans and opened up a coffee bean shop online and brick and mortars in every state. You know what I mean? So I tell people pick something and take action because you can go through the back door and get to the front.
Yeah. And I've realized that with my own life too. I was super into tack. I thought tack was the way to do it. And now look at me, I'm in real estate. And it's just like I was working with augmented reality menus. These are fake
Wow.
food. And I was
Mhm.
going to as real estate. Like you can touch it, you can feel it. It was like the total, I don't know, the spectrums. What
Yeah.
am I doing here? But I think it goes to show that if you're a highly successful person, you're going to just hop on opportunities and it's just going to take you where you need to go. and everyone's got their timeline. So I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. Let's get into the last three questions, Lenny. Ding, 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 ding. The first one is, what book do you recommend? And it doesn't have to be a real estate book.
Okay, so it's a book that I really love. It's actually two. Do you mind if I give them? The first
Just
book
kidding, of
is
course.
the first book I say is a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Mm.
It's a book about just business. And because it's about business, it gives you all of the foundational things you need to know about business. So regardless of what business you want to create. And then we all know that education without action means nothing, right? So this book called The 5 Second Rule by Mel Robbins. And what that book is, or what it did for me, it just basically allow you just to take action. She just says, count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So what it does is it helps you during those times when you don't know what to do. It helps you during those times when you don't want to get out the bed. It helps you during those times when you don't want to exercise. It helps you during those times when you don't supposed to be eating Twinkies, right? You're trying to eat one. It helps you
Yeah.
during everything, because when you're about to reach for that Twinkie, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, no. And then you're sitting here and you're out the
Yeah.
door. So those are the two books that I believe are, I got a ton I can name, but I think those two books comes to my head, and I always tell people about those two books first.
Awesome, man. And second thing, what does the future hold for Lenny?
Oh man, what does the future hold for Lenny? So the future holds for me, man. I
Other than
think
being
that,
a really good father.
yeah, and because of that, I'm staying put for a little bit, but I want to move because I'm a really good father. My son damn near had a conniption when I just was talking to him, talking to my wife about his mother. And he was like overheard it, you know. But in the future, I'm probably going to move into a warmer climate all year round. I've been living in
Mhm,
the Northeast for all my life, and I want
mhm.
to be in a warmer climate more all year round. Where that point is, I'm not sure yet, but that's one of the things. Another thing, I'm currently building a business from scratch. It's going to be an internet-based business, and it's going to allow me to be mobile because that's what I like to be. So I'm working on that, and I've joined a mastermind in the coaching program that's basically walking me through everything that I need to do. So that's coming along. Another thing too, man, is that I just want to sit here and make sure that I touch as many people as I can. So I'm really thinking about how can I touch more lives by helping them with just about anything from motivation to inspiration to anything where they can go from sitting on their butt to actually going out doing something and making something for their lives and hopefully their family lives, and then they can pay it forward to someone else.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. And I want to give you one more question on top of that. That's going to be a special question. I always just on the spot, I always just think of a question. So I think that's my superpower, Lenny, is I think I'm really good at just like thinking of insane questions and just putting people through it. So I'm just going to do that for you right here and give you my superpower. So let's say that you're like hypothetical situation. I want to see how you approach this. Let's say that your child goes out to live on their own and they're doing their thing and they come back to you, whatever, or just something happens overnight where they start just being super ungrateful, super hard to work with, super negative. It's your child, and that's not how you raise a child. Like, what would you do in that situation? Would you interfere? Would you let them figure out life? How would you approach a situation where you're dealing with a child that's like super ungrateful, super not positive, super negative, really just haven't found their purpose in life? What do you do?
My mother probably dealt with that with 10 of her children in some way, shape, or form. And with that being said, what I saw her do, and her kids turned out to be quite fine, I might add, is support. You are there to support your kid. And supporting your kid does not mean that you tell them what they want to hear, right? You sit here, you guide them, and you be there for them. And you be that friend, and you be that authority figure as well. There's going to be days when they're going to like you and love you and laugh and joke with you. And then there's going to be days where they probably don't want anything to do with you. But what I noticed what my mother have done, and obviously time tells, is that you just support your kid, you be there for your kid, and you always let them know, what's right and what's wrong. And that's what I'm going to take unless I need to call an audible within the situation for the kid.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so you pretty much built this sandbox where they are in this controlled environment. They can still do what they need to do. And like, you don't interfere with that, but you put certain boundaries like, okay, maybe that's not the best thing to do. Go down the path of drugs or whatever. That's where the boundary is. But you let kind of figure it out on their own and fail on their own is what I'm hearing, more or less. Like, you don't want to sit them down and have an ultimatum. Hey, this is what we're doing. Like, you let them live their life, but keep the lessons coming of what's really important from your own experience.
Yes, and it's a learning thing. And I'm doing that right now, actually. My son, his dressing, the way he dresses for school, like it's cold as crap here. He wears shorts to school every day. So his mother and myself, we don't approve of that. But you know what? We sat back and we had a conversation and we said, if he's going to go to school wearing a hoodie, right now, he's wearing a hoodie and shorts. I'm like bundled up with a scarf, with gloves on and a hat. Like this look like night and day situations here. I'm like, I don't want these people talking about me, looking at myself, my God, but not trying to be funny. But me and my wife said, you know what? If that's going to make him be 100% confident within himself, then we have to support it, because at the end of the day, what does it really mean?
Yeah.
That he's not wearing some jeans and a coat. He might really don't need it. And so what we're working on is how can we make sure that he understand who he is and we support who he is, and just continue to build off of that and see how we can send him in places being full confidence within himself. And then we got boundaries, just like you mentioned. Like, hey, we go to church. I'm like, hey, buddy, the ball shorts and the Nikes,
Ain't gonna work.
that you kick around dirt all the time. It's not going to work going to church. And he's starting to come around and understand that. If we go to a wedding, hey, dude, you're not wearing ball shorts to a wedding. He like ball shorts. So most of his clothes is all ball shorts. And so that's kind of like the boundaries. And you either, hey, look, in school, we want you to sit here and try your best. I'm big on trying your best, because that's my mother said. My mother said, all you could do is your best. That's it. And I'm okay with making mistakes. So when my son comes home and then this is a true story, he had like a 70 something on his test. I'm like, what's going on here? And so we went over the test. He knew all the answers. He just was going really fast and didn't review his work. As much as I don't like the 78, I was happy that he knew the work. So he just was moving too fast. And I understand that because I have done that in my life as well. And now it's just, hey, here's a challenge, son. It's good. Here's a little challenge you can get over. You got it now. Before you submit your test, then look it on over. So he didn't get like penalized, or I didn't do anything like that, because he understood. He just was moving fast and made the mistake. And I'm okay with that.
Exactly. Dang, Lenny, that's great, man. So thank you for sharing all that, man. If you're not seeing this on the video format, he's smiling all big. So Lenny, for people that want to reach you, how can they reach you?
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm super active on Facebook, honestly. And
God, you're old.
Really easy.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I keep it really easy, man. So you could go to lennytheboss.com/Facebook. Or if you want to reach me on, I'm active on IG as well. You can go to lennytheboss.com/IG. And that's the two places you can reach me at. I'm also gonna have a podcast, if you don't mind. I
go plug it in.
It's called Find Your Freedom. And you can come check us out there. Patryk he got a big time show. We can't wait to drop his episode. And that's really it, man. We're just out here, just once again, just trying to provide value to people's lives. But those are 2 places or 3 places you can catch me at if you want to come and talk to me.
Yeah, and it's podcast is awesome. I love the fact that you and me are so like lively, and so it's just an awesome podcast. Definitely recommend it. Cool. So yeah, thank you for hopping on, man, and sharing your story. I appreciate everything, man. Take it easy, all right?
Yes, man. Thanks for having me, Patryk. I appreciate it.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to the Patryk Real Estate Show. If you found this episode helpful, please give us a follow and leave us a 5-star review. Your support truly means a lot. And connect with Patryk in the show notes below. Until next time.